Hey there, it's me, Eden. If you are new to the channel, then please subscribe to my channel and visit my Patreon page for early access. Link in the comment, thanks. The summer moved quickly, busy with work at the bike shop, wedding preparations, and college planning. Sarah and I would get together once in a while just to be together. But mostly it was busy. Julie was away again working in the summer basketball camp program at Westview. One Saturday in early July, I was out biking, hit some loose gravel, and went down hard. I had some patches of road rash on my left leg and elbow, and a sprained ankle. It didn't hurt real bad, but it swelled up and was weak enough that I had to get it taped up and use crutches for a few days. Now you're finding out how the other half lives, Sarah teased me.
Yeah,
I replied. Now we have two good legs between us. The next afternoon, we were sitting on the couch at the Holdings. My ankle was propped up in front of me, with a bag of ice on it. I was able to lean enough to try and kiss every freckle on her left shoulder. I had to move to reposition the ice, so I asked her, "Help me understand something, Sarah Beth. Last spring at the Overlook, you told me a little bit about how you and Julie came up with the idea of me being Annie. But what I want to know is, how did you get the idea in the first place? Did it just pop up out of your warped little brains because you liked to paint my nails when I wasn't looking?" She said. Let me think. Actually, I was sitting around here, wondering whether I'd ever get enough courage to leave the house again, and Julie and I had the TV on to some cable channel. It was showing an old movie, maybe early 90s, late 80s, I don't know. I can't remember the name of it. There was a boy in college, on the tennis team, and he developed a mad crush over a beautiful exchange student who was on the women's team. She was shy, and generally not interested in him. So he asked some girl, his sister, for advice. She suggested that he become a girl for a little while, and get to be her girlfriend, so he could understand her better. Well, he did, and it went on from there, with him being a girl part-time, and a guy part-time, all to get in good with the beautiful blonde. It was kind of a sweet movie, and in the middle of it, I said out loud, "I wonder if Mark loves me enough to do something like that." And Julie said, "Probably, he's really stuck on you, sis, and he would be kind of cute." Then we were quiet for a while, and we suddenly realized who could take Julie's place at Hope Haven. Maybe we'll find the video someday. Maybe I could learn some makeup tips from this guy, I kidded. Nope, Sarah said. Annie's definitely cuter, but
yeah,
we can watch it sometime. Then she looked at me with an intriguing expression on her face. I talked with Julie on the phone today. She said that she wants to do something for us for a whole weekend, the first weekend in August. She really appreciates what you did last summer, and wants to do something nice. She doesn't have to, I said. No, but she wants to. After a pause, she continued. And she said that it would be more fun for everyone if you would be Annie for that weekend. I hadn't dressed as Annie since the end of the school year. It sounded intriguing. Are you sure I can trust her on this? I asked. You can trust us on this, Sarah replied. I know what she has in mind, and Annie will have a ball. So will you. But don't feel you have to, or anything. If you're uncomfortable or anything. No, it's okay. I've been working enough weekends for other people, I should be able to get someone to return the favor. But I don't suppose you'll give me a clue. Sarah shook her head no and smiled. I went back to kissing freckles on her shoulder, but since I had lost count, I started over. When the day came, I drove over to the Holding house, assuming I'd change into Annie there. I was glad that my ankle was healed, since the Jeep has a manual transmission. It surprised me that Sarah was at the door with a duffel bag. She told me that she had everything Annie needed. She knew that I was still a little nervous about driving as Annie, she explained, and that I could change when I got there. I shrugged and carried Sarah's bag and Annie's to the wagon. She gave me instructions to go to a neighborhood in the south side of the city. The house she had me pull up at was small, very tidy, and unfamiliar. At Sarah's request, I fetched the stuff and we went to the door. Was I going to be changing at a stranger's? No, it was okay. Joan Kim warmly welcomed us in. Her little daughter grinned from a playpen. Don't worry, Joan told me. All the other family members are working today. Lunch isn't ready yet, so why don't you go change, Annie? As I changed into my yellow satin panties and bra set, Sarah pulled out a yellow sundress and unrolled it. It had remained remarkably wrinkle-free. I asked if Sarah had brought a wig, and she told me that she hadn't. Sarah handed me a pair of white sandals that went nicely with the white pattern in the yellow dress. I asked about makeup, and Sarah told me not to worry about it. Still, I felt a little uneasy, knowing that I looked like a boy in a dress. Come, let me do your nails, the Korean nail tech told us. She had her supplies set up on the dining room table. She cleaned the old polish off of Sarah's nails, and applied short extensions. Then she worked on mine, gluing on extensions. I checked to make sure that they could come off by Monday morning, and she assured me they would. Joan stroked plum polish on Sarah's nails, then applied a pale blue to mine. That works with the yellow, don't you think? She asked, and I know how you always want blue polish. She propped our feet up and gave us each a pedicure, and applied daisy decals to our big toes. After our nails dried, our hostess dropped egg rolls into a fryer. Then I helped Joan carry food in from the kitchen, and we enjoyed an oriental lunch. Of course, I had to show off my chopstick prowess. As we were cleaning up, the doorbell rang. An attractive blonde lady hugged Joan and came in. It took me a second to recognize her. Hi, she said. I'm Tina Biedsky. Remember, I did your first makeover right after Joan here gave you your acrylic nails last summer? That would have been hard to forget, with the bleaching, perm, and piercing, and waxing. It was hard to get off on our busiest day, but I wouldn't miss this in the world. Miss what? I wondered. She carried a beige work bag with her, with a designer name on it. Soon, I was in Joan's bedroom, sitting on her vanity bench, while Tina was rolling hot rollers into my hair. Yes, I think we can get something nice out of this, she told us. While the rollers were drying, she worked on my makeup. I wish we had time to give you a facial first, dear, she said, but you can come to the shop sometime and get a free one on me. It does wonders for softening your skin. You're out on that silly bicycle too much. Even with sunscreen, you're getting a little tough. It was fun to watch a pro at work. Without being obvious, the makeover made Annie look about as attractive as Annie can get. Now I felt like Annie, as well as looking like her. I wonder what was going to happen next. We put the baby down for a nap. The doorbell rang, and I saw a small crowd walking toward the Kim residence, emerging from the Holdings minivan and another car, carrying bunches of stuff. Julie and Karen came in and hugged me, followed by Vicky and Roberta, and our two moms. Happy wedding shower, Annie, they all told me in one way or the other as they hugged me. A wedding shower? But Sarah's the bride, not me. I exclaimed. Oh, but we all know that Annie will be a part of this marriage, too. Karen explained. And when you told me that you didn't think you would have a bachelor's party, I felt so sad for you. So I told Julie, why don't we have a bridal shower for Annie? I knew that Sarah's was scheduled in another 2 weeks. Well, I've never been to a bridal shower before, I grinned, so you'll just have to tell me what to do. You just sit back and enjoy it, baby, Mom said as she hugged me. Did I see you and Roberta get out of the minivan? I asked Vicky. That's right, she answered. Julie came down to the city to pick us up, and then we met Karen at the bus station. And we'll be riding back with you tomorrow. Evidently, this was going to be a big weekend. They all bustled around, getting drinks out of a cooler and setting out munchies of all sorts. Then they pulled out cards and presents. I assumed since everybody knows that I cook it would be a bunch of kitchen stuff, and there was. The lingerie surprised me. Excuse me, the incredibly sexy lingerie in my size surprised me a lot. My face must have been as red as the nightgown. So was my mom's, but she seemed to enjoy it, too. Mom gave me a plastic bucket with a pink bow on it. It was filled with tools, nails, screws, and other kinds of hardware. Everyone setting up house needs this kind of thing, she said. It was your father's idea. Dad knew about the shower? He must be mellowing. Tina had to leave to get back to work, but the rest of us sat and snacked and teased one another unmercifully. Well, mostly they teased me and Sarah. Vicky and Roberta gave us, a darling crayon picture of me, as Annie, and Sarah that her mother had framed. Mrs. Cameron and Kelly Cassidy had mailed gifts, too, a generous gift certificate to a department store from Roger's mother and something raunchy from Kelly. Finally the party broke up. Mom drove my Jeep home and I rode with the others to a family-style restaurant in a nearby town. The chicken fried steak was tasty, and the laughing and giggling of this large table full of women brought chuckles and appreciative glances from the older folks that made up most of the crowd. A very old woman left her table to hobble over to tell us that the good time we were having helped make her day. My mom picked up the check for our group. We went to the Holdings house and everyone that was still with us, Joan Kim had to go back to work, were instructed to get into our swimming suits. The public pool in Fort Russell wasn't going to be open that long, and the Holdings certainly didn't have a pool, so I had no idea what was going on. Obedient, though, I went up to Julie's room, where she handed me my blue-skirted one-piece suit that I used in water therapy last summer, and changed in the bathroom. When I came down, I saw that Sarah, in changing, had taken off her prosthetic and that the right leg of her bathing suit was sewn shut. Since we're not at the hospital, I thought it would look better this way, she told me. Some of us just had on our bathing suits, towels, and flip-flops, and others slipped on loose garments over them. So we went back to the cars for our mystery destination. It was a health club downtown. The pool closed at 8, but Mrs. Holding and Julie had made arrangements for a private party for an hour. We all had a great time, even though I had to wear a shower cap and wasn't allowed to get my hair wet, because I needed to save the set for the next day. Sarah and I have always enjoyed swimming, and now she enjoyed it even more, because the buoyancy of the water offset the gravity that always bore down on her single leg. She swam surprisingly smoothly, reminding me of a mermaid. She had been self-conscious about going to the public pool here. We were going to have to find a way that we could swim once we were married and at the university. After we got back to the Holdings, we had a sleepover. It had been a long day, so there wasn't too much chattering, and soon I was dropping off to sleep, wondering what tomorrow would bring. The next day, Julie, Karen, Vicky, Roberta, Sarah, and I all climbed into the minivan. After dropping off Vicky and Roberta, we went out for supper at a favorite place, and then Julie drove us up into the foothills. There, at an amphitheater, we spread a blanket on the ground, sat down, and heard a great Lilith's Fair concert. On the long drive back to Fort Russell, Julie asked if I was glad that I came. I can never repay you for last summer, no matter how I try, she said, but I just wanted to let Annie know how much she's loved. Sarah seconded the motion with a very long kiss. Who was I to disagree? The end. Please subscribe for the next part. and visit my Patreon page for early access.